Thrones of Britannia, is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of Alfred the fucking Great. From the multi-award-winning strategy series A Total War Saga, Thrones of Britannia combines huge real-time battles with engrossing turn-based campaign set in a critical flashpoint in history. Anglo-Saxons, Gaelic clans and Viking settlers clash for control. What kingdom will you build? Well, an English one, of course. Yes, guys, it's a new Total War game, and this is a new kind of series for Total War called the Saga series, where they go to flashpoints in history. And this is the first one that they've done, and they've chosen Britannia, and a great time in Britain as well. Alfred the Great's just defeated the Vikings, but the Vikings are still like hanging around. You know, they're in York. I mean, they took over York. York was a huge Viking city, very, very formidable place because it's a walled city. The wall is still there now today. If you ever visit York, you can see the wall, and there's a Harry Potter shop. I hate Harry Potter, stupid little prick. Wow, how can you get on to Harry Potter and review about? So there's a lot of stuff there about the Vikings, a lot of museums and like, who cares? No one. What's this? What is this? A promotion for visiting York for your fucking holidays? Get on with it. In East Anglia as well, the Vikings all settled down there. The east coast of England, as you'd imagine, was prime real estate for Vikings as they came across the sea. You've got the Welsh on the other side, the Scots in Scotland, and the trouble with Scotland is it's full of Scots. Sorry, I've got a quote, Braveheart. And then you've got the Anglo-Saxons in the middle, West Sussex. That's where King Alfred is. And I chose to play King Alfred because his banners are red, and I thought I was Tywin Lannister. Make Game of Thrones, will you? We all want Game of Thrones Total War. Just do it, will you? Just get the license and do it. So anyway, how does this game play? Well, there's 10 factions all condensed into Britain. And there's 5 kings on the go, lots of killing, loads of provinces that are constantly switching hands and getting burnt down. It is absolutely brutal and compact. It's not like any other Total War game that I've ever played, certainly in early game. Normally you're used to Total War where you can just kind of, take your time. I'm just going to spread over here and I'm going to take that and that. In this, you are instantly surrounded by other provinces and everybody's hating each other because everybody wants to be king. You will literally have trespassers on your land within 2 moves. And there's never really a time when people are more than 2 or 3 moves away from your capital cities. And the way this whole campaign works, we'll talk campaign first, then we'll talk about the actual war, the battles. The campaign has changed quite a bit. Gone is religion as an actual influence. Gone has the agents. I'm not going to list everything that's gone and everything that's new, but the main things that you need to know is agents have gone, which kind of sucked because I liked them for scouting, but it's kind of good because they were fiddly and annoying. So I'm kind of pleased to see the back of them, to be honest with you. And I'm pleased that military buildings have gone in the sense that, remember in the Total War games you would have to build at a certain city military buildings and you'd have to go there to recruit men and you'd have to sit there like a hen on a fucking egg until you'd got 3 or 4 turns until you'd recruited all the men that you wanted to bolster back up yourself up to full strength. You don't need any of that now. Any of your provinces you can just go to and you can recruit men from. But it recruits differently. It recruits so realistic now because if you think about it, back then, when the king, like Alfred says, come with me, I'm gonna go and kill the Vikings. I need men to come to my banner. You would do all that kind of stuff and word would spread around the villages and the towns. And then people would come to where Alfred was and they would join his ranks. So instantly you get all the ranks that you want. So let's say you want 3 archers, a spearman and some swords. You would get them instantly in your ranks, but they would be very, very weakened. Let's say there was 120 men in each one, you'd probably only get 35 initially. But over the next 3 or 4 turns, it will gradually work its way up to full strength, providing, of course, you've got the food and the money to pay for all this, because you still have to manage all of that in this game. You have to make sure that you've got farms are especially important. You run out of food rather quickly when you're raising more and more armies. And in place of the agents, you have governors and generals which have all the, well, not all the abilities of agents and that, but they have a lot more. They have like perk trees, if you like, and they have influence as well, and they can influence a lot of things as they're even passing through provinces. They influence a lot of stuff. You have to be careful because of the backstabbing as well. Some of them may become disloyal. Some of them may get as influential as you are as the king, and they may actually rally you for the throne and say, hey, what the hell, what the, you know. So you have to really keep an eye on who's getting what, and if people are pissed off with you, you just give them a bit of land and titles, you know. There you go, have some land and titles, it's fine. And then oh, we love you again, we love you, you know. It's all that kind of stuff. So there's still a lot going on. It's just way more compact, it's more streamlined now than the older Total War games, and I kind of like that. I love the global recruitment. There's no forced marches anymore, there's no ambushing anymore. I don't like that, because I did like the ambushing, but you know, you can't have everything. But they have got rid of a lot of the fiddly things and brought in some nice things that I like. I pretty much like all of the stuff that they've brought in, to be honest with you. What I don't really like is I found it too easy as King Alfred. Once you get past the early game, you just have so much at your disposal, land, so much money coming in, so many armies you can raise up, so many people that's influential, that you can kind of romp or stomp your way around England and just take it over and then move on the rest. And it does get a little bit kind of monotonous. I prefer playing the smaller factions at the beginning, because they give much more of a challenge and make it a lot more interesting. King Alfred was just a little bit too easy, I found. But do you know what? The main thing about this game for me is the battles. It never gets old. I love playing the battles, and there's some great scenarios here. There's some great Scottish castles built into the mountains. There's some great open plains in the flat lands of England. There's river battles as well over the bridges. There's sieges. The sieges are great in this game, really are great. A lot of the cities down south have Roman walls. The ones at the north generally don't. They just kind of like picket fences and stuff. But the ones down south still have the Roman walls there from like 700 years past. And you have to take them down with siege engines, and it's so good. It looks so awesome. A lot of the units is pretty much what you'd expect. You've got your mad Viking axemen, you've got your English cavalry, you've got the swordsmen, you've got your archers, you've got crossbowmen, you've got all that kind of stuff. And what I really like, what looks so awesome, is the shield walls that you put up. The Anglo-Saxon shield wall, protecting yourself from cavalry charges. You can protect yourself from archers, from the arrows. And when the danger's kind of past, you can just break that and then just charge into the enemy. It's just awesome. The battles, I love the battles. I think I like the battles more in this than any other Total War game. At first I thought the AI was a little bit iffy, because in some of the sieges, the enemy actually opened his front doors for me and says, oh, do you want to come in? I was like, oh, all right. Okay, thanks, mate. That's only happened to me once. The rest of the time they've kind of done a good job. In fact, they have been pretty ferocious at times. They're not so good defending, but attacking, they can go all out and just hammer you. They are pretty decent. I haven't tried this in multiplayer yet, so I don't know what it'll be like in multiplayer, but well, it's going to be just, you know, what it is in multiplayer. There's plenty of maps, there's plenty of opportunities to bring in lots of friends. I think you can play 4 aside on this. There's lots of playing against the AI as well, and I just love playing against the AI. I play for hundreds of hours these games against the AI. It's just so good to just sit back and just totally mix and match all the forces, put out what you want. There's different tiers as well of your units. Some of them are really tough, tier 3 swordsmen, and it's just fun putting up different units against different ones, seeing how well an alliance of maybe Vikings and the Scots would do against the English and the Welsh, and just stuff like that. It's just fun. It's just absolute fun. I enjoyed the campaign. It's not a bad campaign. I think die-hard Total War fans might be a bit pissed off that they've axed so much. You know, the thoroughbred Total War players might not like it, but I was never a thoroughbred Total War player. Like I just said, I had most of my fun on the battlefields, and you've still got all of that stuff as well, where you can just auto-resolve if you want, and you can. It goes a little bit further than just basic auto-resolve, and you've then got to decide what kind of a strategy you would use. You know, if you were going to do a defensive, a balanced, or an aggressive, and then it'll kind of crunch the numbers and decide who would have won that battle. But for me, I just like playing the battles myself, even if each battle lasts up to an hour. It's the fun on the battlefield that I like, and I love the controls of this one. I love the graphics on this. The sounds is great, the music's great. The cheers of the men do get on your tits a bit, because they're repeating the same thing over and over again, which kind of gets annoying. But there's a lot of options in this to switch things on and switch things off. It ran great, but it did chug slightly when I had large armies on, and I had 8 armies on the battlefield, all fully decked out. When I did that on Warhammer, it pretty much ground to a halt, so this runs actually better than what Total War Warhammer did. It's a great game. It's not the best Total War game, but it's a really fun game, and it's not a full price game either. I think it's going for about £27 at the minute. It's definitely worth a buy. It's very polished, it's very fun, and I'm loving it. So there you go, Thrones of Britannia. Might not be for the die-hard Total War purist, but if you just like playing Total War games, you're gonna love this. You really are.